everyone. This is Kim Becker with a Locked On NBA Insider Report, and joining me is Sirius XM NBA radio host Antonio Daniels, here to break down a trade that happened a couple of days before the deadline. The Cavaliers get Caris LeVert. Antonio, do you want to break this one down for us?
I do. I think it's fantastic for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No disrespect to Isaac Okoro, but I thought that the only thing that the Cleveland Cavaliers were missing was that two-guard position. Having someone at that two-guard position that could, one, get their own shot, and two, create and facilitate for their teammates. Again, no disrespect to Isaac Okoro, but 80% of that starting lineup was in place. All they were missing was that two-guard spot to go alongside Darius Garland. They got that guy in Caris LeVert, who could score the basketball, who will now be their best one-on-one player that they have on that roster, and somebody that they needed to take them to that next tier.
Well, we can break down the terms of this one, too. Cleveland gets Caris LeVert, Miami 2022 second-round pick, while the Indiana Pacers get Ricky Rubio's contract, technically, because he is out right now, and that expires at the end of the year. The Cavs 2022 first-round pick, which is lottery protected, Houston 2022 second-round pick, and Utah 2027 second-round pick. Now, what do you think the Cavaliers are doing here, Antonio? Does it look like they're really going for it? Does this make them contenders this year?
Yes, I think it does. It depends on what your definition of contender is, honestly, because I think there are a couple of teams in the Eastern Conference that have kind of set themselves apart. I know it's difficult to have this conversation about Brooklyn now, knowing that they've lost 8 games in a row, not knowing what it's going to look like after the trade deadline, not knowing if Kyrie Irving's status moving forward or James Harden's status moving forward. But then you have to take a hard look at Milwaukee. You know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. I think they're the favorites to come out the East. But now then you take a look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, in my opinion, are the best story in the NBA right now. I think JB Bicker's staff and his coaching staff have done a fantastic job. I don't think none of us have expected what we've seen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do I think that they are going all in a roundabout sort of way? Because when you are a small market team, there are 3 things that you have to do extremely well. 1, you have to draft well. You have to make sure you draft well, which they've done. So they went out and they drafted Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, who right now is the NBA's Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. 2, you have to overpay for free agency. That's why you go out and you sign Jared Allen to a $100 million contract. You signed Lauri Markkanen. You overpay these guys. And then 3, you have to bring in guys that you may not get otherwise through trades. That's when you go out and get guys like Ricky Rubio, who's in that deal, and you go out and get guys like Caris LeVert. So I think what the Cleveland Cavaliers are building is something toward a championship culture, and I think they're going about it the right way.
Right, and like you said, they're building. This is a young team, a great coaching staff, but they're on their way up. Do you think that they are contenders? I'm just going to throw this one out there for this year, however. Do you think that they're going to have to rebuild for next year? Okay.
No, I don't think it's about rebuilding for next year. What I think it comes down to for Cleveland is lack of playoff experience.
Yeah.
Right now, for me, the motor or the engine to that team is Darius Garland. And I think one of the most underrated aspects of postseason is experience. Once you get a year under your belt, and you have Darius Garland with some experience. You have Evan Mobley with some playoff experience. Caris LeVert has very little playoff experience along with Jared Allen. Obviously, you can look at Kevin Love and what he's done with that run with the big 3 with LeBron and Kyrie Irving. But this is a very young basketball team. Isaac Okoro, never been to the playoffs. Stevens, never been to the playoffs. So it's a young basketball team, but you can't expedite the process. The only way to actually get valuable experience is to experience it. And that's what I think this year will be like for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay, so you think that they probably made this trade so that they can try to get to the playoffs and get that experience for this team, basically. That's kind of why they did this trade.
Right. Yeah, so you can work on building for the future. I mean, it would be fantastic, obviously, if they made a big-time run during the playoffs. You know, they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and lose whatever it may be. But any postseason experience will be valuable because it's a very young, inexperienced basketball team.
Okay, can you talk a little bit before we go about Rubio's contract and how that is expiring at the end of the year? So the Pacers get that, but he's injured. What exactly does all of that mean?
To me, the way I saw that is obviously you put Rubio in the deal to make the money work, but people forget when Ricky Rubio got injured in New Orleans, and tore his ACL, he was playing some of the best basketball of his career. He was fantastic in Cleveland because whether he was in replacing Darius Garland or playing alongside Darius Garland. So now what happens is when you send him in that deal to Indiana, when this year's up, he's a free agent. It would not surprise me one bit if Ricky Rubio now re-signed back with the Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be something?
Yes, it would. It gives you
All
more
right.
valuable experience, though.
I mean, yeah, right? Works out. This seems like it might work out for the Cavs a little bit more if all goes as planned here.
It does. There have been 2 trades that have transpired so far, and I thought they have been clear-cut walkaways for one team. You look at what happened with Portland and the Clippers, with the Clippers getting Robert Covington and Norman Powell, and then what Portland got. I thought the Clippers were a walk-away winner in that deal. And now if you look at this deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers, you kind of look at it the same way. This is clear-cut. This deal really benefits the Cleveland Cavaliers. But for the Indiana Pacers and also for the Portland Trailblazers, now you ask the question, for Portland, it was Covington and it was Norman Powell. That was the first shoe to drop. Now you're waiting to see what's next. You're doing the same thing for the Indiana Pacers. First, it was Caris LeVert. So now who's next? Is it Miles Turner? Is it Domas Sabonis? This was just the first shoe to drop. But that's why this week is so fantastic. But it keeps everybody on edge.
It sure does. The dominoes are falling. But yes, this is going
Yes.
to be a very exciting week. Antonio, thank you so much for breaking that one down for us. Appreciate it so much. Everybody, that was a Locked On NBA Insider Report with Sirius XM NBA radio host Antonio Daniels. Thanks so much.